Hello.
Hi. Yeah, so having a little difficulty in logging in. Yeah, I'm actually at the Diamond building.
Okay. I'm in my sister's house.
So we'll wait a minute or two. Yeah, it's 12 now. Maybe should we start? 12:02? Yeah. Okay. Well, thank everyone for attending this pre-research round at your very busy schedule. Today will be two presentations by myself and Dr. Hélène Côté, our Vice Chair of Scientific Education. This is a part of the series of talks reporting back to all of you on our strategic plan implementation. And I'll share my screen. Well, first I want to thank everyone. Can you guys see my screen? Yeah.
We can see it, but we see your notes as well. So perhaps you want to go into presentation mode?
Presentation mode, can I do that?
That's it. If you go up to display settings, you
Okay.
can click down and you should be able to swap.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So first I want to thank everyone for participation in the developing of this strategic plan 2023 to 2028. So we have spent a lot of efforts working together and developed a shared vision and strategy and a set of priorities for us too. But it's like an individual, in order to survive, we need to breathe. the same situation for the organization. In order to achieve results, we must have accountability. Without accountability, we cannot achieve results. When I started prepare this talk, actually I looked at the book that I bought many years ago, and then I looked at searched the website, and the Harvard Business Review and the book said exactly the same thing, except just one word difference. The Harvard Business Review said create an accountable organization, and the book said create the accountable organization, but the steps are exactly the same. So basically, including 6 steps: clear direction from the executives, and shared accountability with middle management, shared accountability with work units, project teams, personal accountability for all employees, accountable performance management, and which we have been doing and will continue doing throughout the year. What we're doing today is step number 6, which is measure, celebrate, and renew. An important step. So why we need to do this? What is the purpose of doing this today? Is we can acknowledge our successes, identify our areas of improvement, and plan activities that can move the department to this next level of excellence. And as we're actually moving step and step further, to be more challenges, new opportunities, and new priorities being developed together, and take the department to the next level and next level and next level of accomplishment. So what we're going to do is today is to go back and see what we set out to do at the beginning of the year. What do we have accomplished, and what do we have not accomplished, and what are the lessons we have learned, and what do we plan to do next year? So my presentation is going to be very short because giving a lot of time for feedbacks and suggestions. And so this is on page 59 of our strategic plan document. What do we set out to do from the departmental point of view? There are 7 priorities. So let's go over one by one. The first one is about BLMC, and Dr. Côté will report after my presentation. The second one is about clinical education. I believe Dr. Animo has already reported back to the community. And so the third one is engagement of clinicians by the department moving the diamond. This has not been, is partially done. Now I'm actually sitting in the diamond on the building, and I'm here for this week on the clinical side, and instead of previous just 1 day a week on this side. So, but we haven't completely finished it yet because this is a coordinated effort with the Faculty of Medicine, and about working to be on this side much more often than before. So creating a teaching and research database, I believe Dr. Wellington, Dr. Côté has already, Dr. Côté will report today, Dr. Wellington has reported in her previous presentation. Grant workshops, Dr. Wellington already done and reported back to you already. And number 6 is recruit at least 1 young faculty member from the underrepresented background, through the CIHR Ready Early Career Transition Award, and support the transition to an independent investigator position in 2 years. This is already done. Dr. Yasser Mohammed from Dr. Honglin's lab has successfully got this Ready Award and was given a position in the department. So the last one is establishing an eminent speaker series as part of previous wide rounds. In the past year, over 29 lectures. There are room to improve here because right now most of the lectures are given by our internal speakers. I will try to discuss with the chairs of this committee, trying to bring more external speakers. Actually, I was able to get donations from AstraZeneca to support the cost of external speakers for these rounds. So these are the 7 priorities set out in the previous year. What else have we done? So these are the things that were proudly accomplished. One is that this is from my office. This is the primary accomplishment from with assistance for Genevieve and admin committee members and everyone. So the first one is the structural deficit. So I started with I'll show you a figure later on. I started with the structural deficit 3 years ago. Now we basically eliminated that. We achieved a very healthy, probably healthy ever, financial situation, which allows us to open a clinical scientist program, which is I'm going to talk about in a minute. So engagement. So I had completed an annual meeting with all academic faculty members. Dr. Nemo actually drove me together. We went to Victoria and met with everyone at Island Health Authority, which is a very positive experience. So the external review was something new added to us in the past year, and thanks to everyone who contributed to preparation of the external review documents, and actually I'm meeting with external reviewers. Actually, today is their last day. I'm going to meet with them at 12:45 today, an external reviewer to go over the review results. So promotions, I'll go over that, and appointments, awards, and go over that in the next slides. And departmental events. We have a very successful pathology day with Dr. John Hart as external speaker. We have run 29 province-wide rounds. We have bi-weekly bulletin, thanks to Debbie for her excellent effort. This bulletin never missing an issue. Every other week we have a departmental bulletin, and all this because we have such a big department across the province, and nobody knows what's happening in the other sites or other places. This is a best venue for us to be aware of what's happening across the department province-wide. Thanks to Debbie, and also thanks to Debbie's efforts and contributions to everyone. For the first time, we developed our departmental annual report, which is more than 100 pages. We're working to do this every year. So every year we will have an annual report and to distribute it to the community, so that everybody knows what we have done, what we have accomplished together. And we had a wine and cheese session, we had a business meeting jointly with the PLMS. This is actually a very significant, because this is an initiative that we took, that we work together with the PLMS and to reach out to all the clinicians across the province. On the clinical side, because I'm also the program medical director at BC Cancer, I will not say too much about that. I have led and working with the team on the implementation of digital pathology and improving the molecular diagnostics of BC Cancer. So these are other achievements. So this is actually our financial situation in the past 10 years, starting with 2014. So we have like this amount of deficit. So when I sign up my job, we have this amount of deficit. And actually that was one of those hesitations when I putting my name in the dotted line, because carrying a deficit is something that's really scary. And now I'm thanks to everyone and who enormous efforts. So we are here today. We're here today, and you will ask me why we have a drop in 2026 and 2025. It's because we're spending $2.25 million for the clinician scientist program we're going to implement in starting next year. So promotions. I want to congratulate Dr. Eisen, Dr. Xun Wei, Dr. Huimin Yang, Dr. Mary DiMarco, Dr. Rodriguez Capote, Dr. Pedro Farrenta for promotion to clinical professor, and Dr. Reazi, Dr. Sajiadi, Dr. Madik, Dr. Lisa Lee, Dr. Mota Abed, and Dr. Likhang Li for the promotion to clinical associate professor, and appointment of Dr. Daru So, Dr. Villamil, and Dr. Owen, Dr. Hoff, and Dr. Burton, and Dr. Al-Halidi for assistant professor, and also congratulate promotions of Dr. Kevin Benowitz to full professor at UBC, full professor Dr. Philip Lang to associate professor, and also Dr. Carl Lawley to full professor at UBC. And academic recruitment, we recruited Dr. Katie Enfield to the lung cancer group at the BCCRC. We also appointed Dr. Xiaoxiao Li, Dr. Sam Soma-Kanharan, and Dr. Francesca Campon is associate member of the department, and welcome. And also, lastly, I want to congratulate Dr. Catherine Hogan for successfully competing and get this post-clinical buyout position appointment in the department. So congratulations to all of you. So this next one, I want to thank the award committee led by Dr. Mel Kretchen and Dr. Cedric Carter. That for external awards, I congratulate Dr. DeMarco for winning this Michael Berman Award for Innovative Clinical Proteomics. Dr. Ying Wang for winning this Stewart Whitman New Investigator Award. Dr. Hansman for renewal of Chen Wei Memorial Professorship, and Dr. Chen Wei Professor's Prize in Cancer Research. Dr. Yang Park for getting this Canadian Research Chair, Tier 2 Critical Research Chair, and Dr. Thorsten Nelson and Dr. Wellington for getting this highest in the recognition of national and international become a fellow of Canadian Academy of Health Sciences. Congratulations to all of you, and thanks to the nomination committee and everyone can participate in the nomination process. So ABC Awards, I want to congratulate Dr. Carrie Lowley for getting this Killam Teaching Award, which is the teaching prize, which is the highest recognition on teaching side from UBC. And Dr. Sam Aparicio for getting this Distinguished Achievement Award for overall excellence of senior faculty and DAA Award, and Dr. Ali Barshadi for getting this DAA Award for overall early career achievement. Congratulations to Corey and Sam and Lee. So what are lessons learned in the past year? One is that in order to successfully implement what we want to do, we must line up our strategy with UBC or healthcare authorities. If sometimes we think we're doing the right thing, we're doing the things for the benefit of people, the university, or whatever. But if it's not lined up with the priorities of the healthcare authorities or the UBC, it's not going to get done. Because this is actually a very, very important lesson learned. The second lesson I learned was for important decisions, particularly risky decisions, and sometimes actually I don't want to share details. Some decisions is very risky for us to achieve this budget situation. So we need to consult faculty medicine, get the faculty medicine back up, and from the legal and to support our decision, make sure we're careful, sound, well prepared, and well prepared to implement and well prepared for the consequences if it's anything might happen afterwards. But lastly, actually extremely emphasize, I want to share with you actually my what have I learned over the year. I've been a chair and I give over 10 years here, about 3 years, is this this group leadership. And at UBC, I'm extremely grateful that I'm surrounded by so many talented, dedicated, and leaders and our vice chairs, our executive committee members, and everyone. So without them, there's no way we can accomplish this. Honestly, and Genevieve, we meet every week, we debate every week for things which jointly that we're able to accomplish this. Another thing I want to share with you, the lessons I learned by myself over the years was always listen to the voices that differ to your own opinion. That's actually important. If I say something, you agree with me, it doesn't actually add anything. But if you disagree with me, and actually I'm listening, I want to hear why you disagree with me. What is your point? Maybe you're right. So, or maybe your idea and my idea added together makes things better. So listening to voices that differ is extremely important for a successful leadership. And it's very difficult, sometimes can be unpleasant. Sometimes you can feel like, oh, you feel challenges by yourself, but it was these challenges, these disagreements that make things better. So these are our lessons learned. So what are we going to do next year? Of course, what works well, we must continue the pathology day, the programs are the rounds, the bi-weekly bulletin, the annual report, the events were held, the award process, the promotions, the appointments, the annual reviews, we definitely will continue for sure. And then we're going to do some more new engagement activity. First, Dr. Nima and myself already talked about we're going to visit Interior Health this year. So after that, I basically visited all the health authorities in person. And secondly, I will start having regular meetings with the clinical department heads at affiliated hospitals, or invite them into our executive committee. That has to be discussed with the executive committee. That's just my thought process, because right now we have associated academic heads at health authorities outside of the province, but they're in our executive committee, but not the clinical department heads within Vancouver affiliated hospitals. This is something that was brought up by the external reviewer meeting with me a few days ago, and that I think is a very good suggestion. The next one actually was suggested by Dr. Lin Hong, Dr. Linda Hong, the head of pathology at BCCDC. It's actually extremely important that was 10 years ago, it was recommended by the external reviewer that the UBC department needs to be involved in the clinical recruitment of all clinical faculties. Well, this was not implemented for the past 10 years, maybe 12 or 13 years. There got to be reasons. One of the reasons, because maybe too many, the UBC department does not have the capacity to be involved in the search and interview process of all clinical faculty members in all affiliated hospitals. But so in the past, that when you're recruited by the clinical affiliated hospital, you're automatically credentialed by the UBC. But starting next year, I will start to meet with everyone who is newly recruited to the affiliated hospitals, going back to the past 3 years. So I believe it's 50 of them already on the list. My assistant Donald is reaching out to start booking meetings in January. I'll meet every single person who was recruited in the past 3 years. The purpose of this meeting is to provide guidance and support for the academic activities and understand what are the academic intentions and how can we help you, whether it's education or research, because there's tons of information and from the UBC side and resources that can benefit the career development of every young academic clinicians. So the next one is actually also very important. Now, starting next year, and I'm glad, I'm very happy to see that we can afford this. We're going to launch a clinician scientist program. So basically, the UBC department will provide $50,000 per year for 5 years. So we're going to select 2% from the clinical faculties, recently recruited young clinical faculties. So this selection process will be completely transparent, open to all clinical PhDs and clinical MDs and whoever is interested. And then we select them and provide this $50,000 a year and with the support of the clinical department head, and ideally to provide them 1 day a week of academic time, so that they have academic time 1 day a week for 5 years to support for academic career. So among those, maybe if a few come up with able to achieve obtaining grants, CHR grants, or having a good, very excellent research program, and we'll find other mechanisms to support them for continuous support after these 5 years. So this is a new program that Dr. Hansman will be chairing the program. I will ask him to do a presentation to the committee, to the province-wide rounds to illustrate all the details of this program. And lastly, we will definitely implement all the suggestions made by the external review. So this is actually the last slide of my presentation. Any questions from me? Any comments, please? Maybe I'll stop share.
It's Jeff Terry. I've got a question. I've got my hand up. You may not be able to see it. I was just curious. It's great to hear the clinician support, scientist support program coming in. I'm curious, and maybe this is going to become evident when David Huntsman discusses this in more detail, but how are we going to backfill 0.2 FTE in the various divisions and departments? And I'm thinking specifically of trying to convince our health authorities to somehow fill this. I find that might be problematic.
This is a very good point. This is a very good point because this $50,000, considering that today's the salary level of clinicians and maybe clinical PhDs is different. Clinicians, MDs, this is not enough for this 20%. There are 2 points actually. One is not enough for 25% protect time. So that's why we need the contributions from the clinical side to ensure there has to be endorsement from the clinical department head that saying that yes, we're nominating this person and we're going to guarantee once he get it, we'll make sure that he have 20% protect time. And the second question is, okay, once you have 10% protect time, which means that somebody else has to do the clinical work because the clinical is busy. Well, that I will leave it to the clinical department head because this is not my job to assign this 20% clinical work. But if a clinical site that cannot nominate that one because of clinical work, then they probably should consider a recruitment or other things that's beyond my capacity to influence. But we're probably going to give this position to the sites that can afford.
Great, thanks.
Any other comments? Thank you, Terry. That's actually very important. Yeah. Well, I try to count 1 to 10 for 10 seconds. And if there's no other comments, I'll introduce Dr. Hélène Côté, who is the Vice Chair of Scientific Education and also the Program Director for the graduate program. And in the past year, Dr. Côté has led quite a few important initiatives and and helped the improvement of the departmental situation. And I will let Dr. Côté to do her presentation. Go ahead, Hélène.
Thank you, Dr. Gao. Let me see if I can manage to share. Sorry, can everybody see my slide okay? Yes, no?
Yes, it's good, Hélène.
Okay, thank you. So, well, I'm gonna first acknowledge that I work and live and play and teach on the ancestral traditional unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. And I think through our work and our teaching, we hope to honor that and help pursue truth and reconciliation. So scientific education is part of the core pillar number 2, whose goal is to educate, develop, and mentor future and current practitioners, researchers, and educators to meet evolving societal need. And this counts both clinical and scientific education. And Dr. Nemo, I believe, made a presentation a few weeks ago on the clinical side, and I will today concentrate on the scientific education. So just to be on the same page, scientific education counts the undergraduate program, which is the Bachelor in Medical and Laboratory Science, which has up to 48 students. It includes the graduate program, which has hovers between 65 and 70 students, as well as postdoctoral studies which usually in our department is about 33 postdoctoral fellows. There are more than that work with people in our department, but these are the ones appointed with pathology. And then the last two groups also fall under the graduate and postdoctoral studies. Sorry, I'm having difficulty having my bar in the middle of my screen. So the 5-year strategic priorities were that were identified during our strategic plan were to proactively engage with potential employers, meaning academic, healthcare, and private sectors, to develop and maintain educational programs to address future needs. It was also to continue to add, I'm sorry, can't read my own text because of this bar that's in the middle, sorry. So continue to add learning opportunities to meet emerging needs and breakthrough discoveries, promote and recognize excellence in teaching, and finally strengthen the stability and sustainability of the programs. And so heads up, today what I will do is essentially to use the presentation I did a year ago and update each of the points with what was achieved in the last year. So one of our first priority action that was to be done in the first 36 months was to recruit a full-time faculty of teaching for the BMLSC, and this person would also act as the new director for the BMLSC. And if you recall last time, we were in the process of interviewing and things were looking good, but at the last minute, both our top 1 and 2 candidates fell through. And so we did have to start again. We reposted, started a new search with the same committee, and I'm very grateful to the people who served on that committee. We interviewed 20 plus, where we screened 20 plus candidates. There were many more than that, but those were the qualified candidates. Selected 7 for virtual interviews, invited 3 for in-person presentation in October, and recommended our top candidates to the department. And this person has indicated that they are accepting the position, so they will hopefully, if all goes well, start sometime next summer. The second priority was to develop and implement a plan to introduce a co-op program option for the BMLSC students. This had already been started last time I spoke. We since have obtained Senate approval for the co-op courses, so we have our own courses. We had 8 students who were interested to do co-op last year and applied for placements that would have started last May. And 5 have persisted and are now finishing their second term. And the new group of students who started this September, of those, 12 have applied for the co-op, and their co-op terms would start in May 2025. So I invite all potential employers, whether they are clinical, industry, academic, to think when they have a co-op position to write it so that they would attract a BMLSC student, which would be great. Another priority was to attract BMLSC students, including international students, through activities such as the Vancouver Summer Program. We learned since then that we are a little bit limited in terms of the number of students that are international that we can admit to our program. It was believed that 1 was our maximum, and now we think it's more like 3, but out of 24. But we did recruit an international student last year, as well as, I apologize for not writing it here, as well as 2 Indigenous students. So that has been a great success. The BMLSC staff held the Vancouver Summer Program again in 2024. UCO, the Associate Director, and Michael Sutherland have held information sessions at UBC as well as around with the Go Global program, etc. And this has been, I'm sure, instrumental in helping the fact that we filled all our seats last September for the 2024 intake, and the website as well is being updated. We also wanted to update some of the course content to address new technologies, and one of the courses called Path 404 has been revamped and redesigned to be divided into two one-term instead of being an all-year-long course, it's now separated into two-term, and it now includes AI in pathology, flow cytometry, and big data and bioinformatics. So those are all new development toward technologies that we wanted our students to be exposed to. And Michael Sutherland has been a lead on a lot of that. Now, the priority was to develop a plan to implement postdoctoral fellow support, like the postdocs often felt a bit left behind. Cheryl Wellington spoke a few weeks ago about the PGAP program, which I think has been really successful and hopefully will be again this year, which is a grant writing workshop and seed grant program that is aimed at early career faculties, but also postdocs who are interested in learning this skill and continuing in academia. Postdocs have been invited to speak at pathology-wide rounds. We are lobbying for paid teaching opportunities for postdocs, but it's not quite done. We've included now a postdoctoral specific section in the weekly grad program and postdoctoral fellow newsletter that we publish every Monday around noon. We do have a postdoc representative on the graduate and postdoctoral studies committee within the program, and that person is working to engage with the postdoctoral fellow and is now, I think, is in the process of developing an award for most impactful or best publication in the last year. We have opened opportunities for postdoc to officially serve on supervisory committees for the graduate student, not to replace their supervisors, but rather to be an additional member that is recorded with G+PS that can put on their CV. And we are implementing that postdoctoral fellows can sit in and selected courses and some Path 635 lectures if they are of interest to them, and we will do a better job at advertising that in the coming year. Another goal was to maintain a database to track teaching activities and a bank of teaching material. So this database was created. It had already been last year. Now it's a matter of keeping it up to date. It's concentrating on coded courses, so that courses that have a number. It's using not only, but primarily FAD data, so faculty activity database. So it's important that you fill this every year if you want to be on our radar. And the teaching material are mostly on UBC Canvas. We plan to establish a bank of syllabi and teaching slides, and this is in progress. We are hoping to facilitate access to information to match faculty who need teaching and courses that need teacher, as well as matching flex students, Path 438 students, summer students. And we are hoping that there will be more summer studentship available in the coming while. So you all know teaching is required for promotion. If you are wanting to teach, please contact us. Another priority was to develop and implement a succession plan that includes faculty leadership as a promotion criterion for tenured faculty and addresses teaching releases and provides administrative support. This, on the scientific education side anyway, is still mostly work in progress. But I wanted to let everyone know that the position of Director of Graduate Program and Graduate Advisor will become open in January 2025, as I will be moving on. And so if anybody is interested, please send your expression of interest to Dr. Gao and Genevieve, and aiming that the next newsletter will have a link to the full job description, etc. we were aiming to introduce and identify more modernization changes to the grad program curriculum to continue to, well, I'm just repeating myself here, to respond to needs found from the assessment finding. So the goal was to develop some additional course content and incorporate clinical research in the course content. So far, we've introduced 2 new courses, one on big data analytics and visualization. It's called Path 548. It's a 1-credit course given in the fall. Not a lot of students who have registered so far, but I think it's a very useful data course for students who have large data sets to deal with. There's also a BMEG course by Ali Bashashati that has been adapted so that it can also be listed as Path 548B as 3 credits, and it's a bioinformatics and AI course. And we're excited to announce, and this is a lot of work from David Granville and Jackie Quant, a new course on biotechnology, translation, and commercialization of research. So everything from what should you be mindful about if you're doing preclinical research to intellectual property, IP, dealing with patents, dealing with selling your ideas, etc. This will be a 2-credit course given next spring called Path 548T. Some clinical researchers are now being invited to lecture in Path 502, which will increase exposure for the graduate students. And our studio, many supervisors and students told us that they wanted to be more familiar with R since it's becoming universal in a lot of statistical analysis and data analysis. So R is now being introduced or used in 3 of our graduate courses, namely Path 548L with Andy Roth, Path 548O with Thomas Siriosinski, and Path 548B with Ali Bashashati. And we are continuing to work on other courses, small courses that would be on systematic reviews and biomarkers. These would be small modular credit courses of 1 credit, hopefully next year. We wanted to continue to consult broadly to identify change needs and develop actionable recommendation, including curriculum updates for both the BMLSC and the graduate program. And we were aiming to establish an external advisory board of industry and health authority leaders. We've done the latter with respect to the BMLSC program. So we have engaged with the director of the BCIT Medical Laboratory Technology Diploma, Julian Faux, very, very nice person, so that we have more communication between the BMLSC and the BCIT MLT and work together to make sure that we serve both employers and students the best way possible. We now have a working executive/curriculum committee for the BMLSC program. We already had the equivalent at the grad program. It has broad representation from staff, student, faculty, as well as people outside of the university. And it's working on basically any issue that is relevant to the BMLSC in terms of policies all the way to curriculum. And when the new director of the BMLSC takes their position, of course, they will, most likely take over this committee and perhaps split it in 2. But for the moment, that is how it's working. We have split several of the 6-credit 2-term courses in BMLSC into separate terms of 3 credits each, which makes it a little more nimble for students if ever a student is sick or whatever, so that they don't have to lose an entire year. And we are awaiting UBC Senate approval on this. Thanks, Mike Sutherland, for his work there. Another priority was to assess the feasibility of introducing certification stream for the BMLSC. So we had heard from many that it would be very nice if the BMLSC graduate had a path to work in clinical labs and challenge the exam that is required to do that. And what we have learned recently is that there are changes coming on the horizon in terms of how this type of certification, by whom and how it will be done, which we believe is likely to open new opportunities for students who have a BSc as opposed to an MLT. Among those changes, the current role of the Canadian Society for Medical Laboratory Science will move to another entity and will be more under the control of each province so that they can decide what fits best for their circumstances. And it will be administered through the Canadian Alliance of Medical Laboratory Professional Regulators as opposed to the CSMLS. So this is in flux, and so several people from our department and from the program are following what's happening so that we can best adjust and examine how this could provide opportunities for our students. We're also looking at potentially developing some laboratory quality and management program that would have certification, as well as some possible micro certificates that are being explored. This is work in progress. One of our goals was to reintroduce a structured peer evaluation process. And so this is getting peers evaluating your teaching as opposed to students evaluating your teaching. And Dr. Amanda Bradley has generously accepted to become the next peer evaluation champion and organize a nice structure so that that should start in January. There will be an announcement made in the newsletter about it. And don't forget to plan for your peer evaluation. Several people only give a few lectures a year, so you have only a few opportunities to get this evaluation done so that you have it for your teaching dossier for your promotion. And the longer you plan it in advance, the more you'll be able to choose what lecture you would rather have evaluated. We also wanted to strengthen the teacher reward and recognition program. The BMLSC already has several teacher awards, but the graduate program did not. So we have now established 3 new graduate teaching awards, 2 or 3, 2 for sure, 3 I think. And the Sprott committee has, I don't know exactly the detail, but I know they are better recognizing all form of teaching during promotion, especially when it comes to clinical faculty who are teaching not necessarily in named courses, but are doing other types of teaching and work with learners. We aim to undertake an assessment of the graduate program based on a clear statement of purpose and use the results to frame a go-forward plan. We are in the process of creating areas of focus within the grad program. There will be several of them, for example, cancer research or metabolic research or virus-related research. And on our website, we will have suggested courses that would fit these areas of focus so to better guide the students through their studies. We have been and are continuing to collect data from exit interview from each of our graduates. And so I'm at the point where I need to analyze all these results so that I can hand over to the next person data. It's data that they can start from to determine what courses work best, what may not, and what are the typical issues that students raise and what ideas they have also raised to improve the program. We have built a database of graduate alumni since 1990. We hired a WorkLearn to do that, and we did it through publicly accessible information, so mostly searched on the web, ResearchGate, LinkedIn, anything, to find our graduate. And we have reached an impressive number of them so that we can figure out what their career paths have been. Having that information, we helped us organize the first ever, as far as I know, graduate alumni reunion from the Pathology and Lab Medicine program. This was held at MSAC on May 16th, and I would surmise that it was quite a success. We were very happy, and we are planning to hopefully do another one in 2026 and have even more attendees. I want to thank all those to contribute to all this work. It takes a village, so all the staff in the BMLSC, all the staff in the grad program, and all the people who contribute their time to sit on committees to make all these programs work. And much to come in the next 4 years. I invite you to read the Pathology and Lab Medicine newsletter that we publish every Monday for updates and for calls of expression of interest for various positions. I'm happy to answer questions. No questions? Comments? Okay, I guess I will let everybody get 9 minutes back.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Hélène.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Jackie.